In ancient Israel, there lived a young shepherd named David, a boy who would become one of the most significant figures in biblical history. David was the youngest son of Jesse, a humble farmer from Bethlehem. While his older brothers fought in King Saul's army, David spent his days tending to sheep in the fields. He was known for his bravery and keen sense of responsibility, having defended his flock against wild animals like lions and bears. This experience would prove vital in the events to come, shaping his character and preparing him for his future challenges. During this time, Israel faced a grave threat from the Philistines, a powerful enemy nation. The two armies met on the battlefield at a place called the Valley of Elah. On one side stood the Israelites, and on the other, the Philistines, whose champion, Goliath, towered over them like a mountain. The sight of Goliath was enough to intimidate even the bravest of warriors. He stood over 9 feet tall, clad in heavy armor that glinted in the sunlight, and carried a massive spear that seemed like a weaver's beam. His intimidating presence struck fear into the hearts of the Israelite soldiers, many of whom were seasoned fighters. Every day for 40 days, Goliath stepped forward, challenging the Israelites to send out a champion to fight him in single combat. "Choose a man to come down to me," he shouted, his voice booming across the valley. If someone could defeat him, the Philistines would become their servants, but if Goliath won, the Israelites would serve the Philistines. The stakes were high, and the Israelite soldiers were paralyzed by fear. No one dared to face Goliath, not even King Saul himself. This period of fear and despair weighed heavily on the Israelite camp. They would gather each day, listening to Goliath's taunts, their morale sinking lower with each challenge. As days turned into weeks, the confidence of the soldiers waned, and they began to doubt their ability to fight back. It was during this time of hopelessness that David, having come to the battlefield to deliver food to his brothers, heard Goliath's challenges echoing across the valley. David's heart was stirred with righteous anger as he listened to Goliath mock the armies of the living God. He couldn't understand why no one would stand up to the giant. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? David exclaimed. His words resonated with some of the soldiers, who saw a glimmer of hope in the young shepherd's courage. However, they also recognized that David was just a boy and that the situation was dire. David's passionate words reached the ears of King Saul, who called for the young shepherd to come before him. When David presented himself to Saul, the king was initially skeptical. "You are just a boy, and Goliath has been a warrior since his youth," Saul replied, looking at David with a mixture of concern and disbelief. But David was undeterred. He recounted his experiences as a shepherd, how he had slain both a lion and a bear to protect his sheep. "The same God who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the bear will deliver me from this Philistine," David assured Saul, his confidence unwavering. Seeing David's faith, Saul reluctantly agreed to let him fight the giant. However, he offered David his armor, which was heavy and cumbersome. Saul, being a tall man himself, thought that perhaps the king's armor would provide David with some protection. David tried it on but quickly realized it was not suited for him. "I cannot go in these," he said to Saul, "because I am not used to them." This moment highlighted David's understanding of his own strengths and limitations. Instead of relying on someone else's armor, he chose to go with what he knew best: his sling and 5 smooth stones from a nearby brook. As David approached the battlefield, he gathered his courage. The sight of Goliath looming over him was daunting, but David focused on his purpose. Goliath laughed and mocked him, saying, "Am I a dog, that you come at me with sticks?" The giant's taunts filled the air, but David remained unshaken. He replied confidently, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel." David's declaration of faith was a bold statement that reverberated through the battlefield. This was not merely a battle of strength. It was a contest of faith. David knew that his true power came from God. He took a stone from his pouch and placed it in his sling. With a swift motion, he hurled the stone toward Goliath. The stone struck the giant squarely on his forehead, and to everyone's astonishment, Goliath fell face down to the ground. The reaction was immediate and explosive. The Philistine army, stunned by the sudden defeat of their champion, turned to flee in panic. The Israelites, witnessing David's victory, were filled with renewed strength and courage. They erupted in cheers and pursued the fleeing Philistines, reclaiming their dignity and fighting for their freedom. David had triumphed, not just through skill but through his unwavering faith in God. This victory marked a turning point for the Israelites. No longer would they cower in fear. They had witnessed the power of faith in action. The young shepherd's bravery inspired a nation, and soon tales of David's victory over Goliath spread far and wide. The victory became a symbol of hope, demonstrating that even the smallest and seemingly weakest among us could achieve greatness through faith and determination. The story of David and Goliath has resonated through the ages, symbolizing the idea that faith can empower even the most unlikely hero to overcome overwhelming odds. It teaches us that true strength lies not in physical prowess but in courage and belief. No matter how insurmountable the challenges we face may seem, with faith and determination, we can triumph over our own giants. In our own lives, we may not face a literal giant, but we encounter challenges that feel just as daunting. Whether it's personal struggles, fears, or obstacles that seem impossible to overcome. Like David, we are reminded that our faith can provide the strength to face these difficulties head-on. The lessons learned from David's experience can be applied to our daily lives, urging us to confront our fears with confidence. David's story encourages us to embrace our unique abilities and trust in our own strengths. It teaches us that everyone has a role to play, regardless of age, experience, or background. When we step out in faith, we may find ourselves capable of achieving far more than we ever imagined. This idea is particularly relevant in a world where many feel powerless in the face of challenges. David's actions remind us that courage can come from the most unexpected places. Moreover, David's journey did not end with the defeat of Goliath. He faced numerous trials and tribulations throughout his life, including running from King Saul, who grew jealous of David's popularity. The king saw David not only as a threat to his throne but also as a rival to his legacy. Yet, through each challenge, David's faith remained steadfast. He wrote many psalms during his life, expressing his trust in God even amid adversity. These writings continue to inspire and comfort people today, serving as a reminder of the power of faith in overcoming life's struggles. As we reflect on this story, it's essential to remember that David was not perfect. He faced many challenges and failures throughout his life, yet his faith remained unshaken. This shows us that it's okay to struggle. What matters is our willingness to trust in God and keep moving forward. David's imperfections make his story relatable, allowing us to see that we too can rise above our flaws and make a difference. David's life also teaches us about humility and the importance of recognizing where our strength truly comes from. When he became king, he did not forget the God who had helped him defeat Goliath. Instead, he sought God's guidance in every decision, acknowledging that his success was due to divine favor. This aspect of David's character serves as a crucial lesson for us all, that true leadership is not about power or control but about humility and service. In the aftermath of his victory over Goliath, David became a national hero. The people sang songs of praise for him, celebrating his bravery and skill. However, he remained grounded, understanding that his accomplishments were not solely his own, but were a reflection of his faith and reliance on God. He continued to face numerous challenges, including political intrigue and personal betrayal, but he navigated these trials with the same faith that had guided him on the battlefield. In conclusion, the tale of David and Goliath serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of faith, courage, and the belief that we can overcome any challenge. As we navigate our lives, may we draw inspiration from David's unwavering spirit and remember that with faith, we can face and conquer our own giants. Let this story inspire us to stand up against our fears, to trust in our abilities, and to believe that we, too, can change the world around us. Just as David faced his giant, we too can rise to the occasion, finding strength in our faith and courage in our hearts. May we learn to see our own Goliaths, whether they be fears, doubts, or external challenges, as opportunities to grow and to trust in the divine.